Hey guys, tired of feeling stuck in your dating life and striking out in the dating game? You're not alone. Maybe you just need some good coaching. Welcome to Just Ask Her, the no BS podcast for real dating advice straight from a woman's point of view. Dating expert Gracie Pleschourt and her co-host, certified life coach Tracy Pleschourt, are here to give you the play-by-play on how to attract more women you're interested in. So, let's take back control of your dating life. This is Just Ask Her.
Welcome back to Just Ask Her, the podcast that helps you date with confidence, connect with real women, and finally feel in control of your dating life. I'm your host, Gracie, here with my mom, co-host, and certified life coach, Tracy. And we're excited to be back for another episode.
Did you forget my name?
No, I couldn't remember which one came next in the lineup.
Gotcha.
I don't remember if I said co-host or certified life coach first.
Mom extraordinaire.
Yeah.
So it took me an hour and a half to get here today.
Because we are officially in the depths of
hell,
as some Minnesotans would say. We officially hit negative during the day. I'm sure it hit negatives like at night, throughout the night here in Minnesota.
Wise. Yeah.
It was like -2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was frigid.
Yeah. I was doing coaching calls with people in Myrtle Beach. Actually, it was kind of ironic. 2 clients from Myrtle Beach back to back. And they were complaining because it was 50 degrees and how cold they were. And I'm like, well, it's -2 here right now.
No.
The way I have my office set up, they can see outside the window behind me. And it's like piled high snow. And they're like, whoa, yeah, it's very cold. It's hard to even keep your house warm. You have to layer up. I have a space heater going on underneath my desk. It's something. The dogs don't want to go outside to go to the bathroom.
No. And it's borderline dangerous with our wiener dogs to let them outside for too long. Meatball freaks out when his paws get cold and he like curls on his back and will sit out there. Like he literally has to be supervised when we let him outside because he gets way too cold, which I don't blame him when it's -2 degrees. I was outside for like 2 seconds just to plug my car in and my hand was numb by the time I came back inside. It was freezing.
Yeah. So commuting takes 2, if not 3 times longer.
Especially in the early parts of winter when everybody's trying to get used to driving in the snow again.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. But
I spend more time charging my car than I spend driving it at this point. My car is a 2016, so it's a little bit older of a model for Tesla. And the battery sucks. And so like literally at this point, I spend more time at the charger because it takes 20 minutes for my battery port to warm up just so that it can actually start the charge. So
okay, you could do that from your app. So a little bit of...
Oh, that's a thing?
Yep.
Well, nobody told me that this port needed to warm up before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do it from your app because like if we're like on a road trip and we plug in the next charger, it now knows that we intend to charge here shortly and we'll get a message on the dash.
That's for like your battery life.
No, it says preparing the battery for charge. That's the message that we get.
Oh.
So I'm guessing you could do that from your app.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, I literally sit there for 20 minutes just to wait for the charger to turn on. And then it's double the time to actually charge it fully, which my battery, because it's like older, it only charges to 180 miles.
Good thing you stick close to home. We were just talking about this yesterday at pickleball and somebody was complaining about how their battery drains so much faster in the winter. And I gave them your example and she was like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, because how many miles does yours get? Like 400 something?
No, 300.
Okay.
I don't know. And I haven't really paid that close of attention because I really don't
plug
drive.
It in every night too.
Yeah, we plug it in every night and I don't really drive very far. So I don't have to pay attention to it like you do.
Yeah, I'm going to have to plug it in at your house tomorrow so that I can get home. Literally. It's ridiculous.
Well, it just keeps you in the game, right? Like you're going to be very present at all times when you have to be driving in the winter. There's a lot to be thinking about.
I guess. Yeah, I don't really see the upside in this.
Well, you could get a new one.
Shitty battery. Yeah. And spend more on the battery than I did on the car.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys
welcome
are
to
done
winter.
listening to our,
Okay, well, let's jump into it. We have 3 fantastic submissions this week. And the first one is actually from Anonymous. And
We haven't had an anonymous in a while.
we have an Anonymous this week and next week.
Oh, okay.
And the one next week, I believe it was, he wrote me a story about why he wanted to be anonymous.
Interesting. I actually think about that. If you were to write into something like this, would you put your name as anonymous? I probably would. Which is just like my hypervigilant brain thinking somebody's going to figure out this is me just from my name and story, when odds of anybody listening to this that you actually know that would actually put 2 and 2 together that this is your exact story.
Yeah.
Pretty low.
I was also challenging myself and asking what else could be true by wanting to be anonymous. And I think that there are some deeper psychological reasons why you would want to be anonymous. It's maybe you're not really owning the story. And for the person who wrote this submission, this is a really big first step. To write in with such detail and ask for support is a step in the right direction. So I think, there's always that possibility that they just don't really want to own this as their problem. And it can maybe be a reach for help, but without having to own it fully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like having their names so that we can actually reference them correctly in the submission. But I also, like I said, I think my initial thought would be not to leave my name.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter that much to us. It is nice to be able to address people by their name, but just know that we are truly here to help. And as I was reading the note that he sent, my heart did kind of go out to him. And I was thinking, I'm just proud of him for taking the time to ask for support.
Mm-hmm.
And so
is it this guy or the guy for next week?
To be honest, I can't remember. Okay. So submission 1 is from Anonymous. And he says, "Hi, my 10-year relationship ended suddenly 2 years ago. I spent 18 months working on myself and did not date during that time, as I viewed it as a period of healing. Recently, I met someone on a dating app and we hit it off. However, due to my past experience, it took me a while to trust her. We dated for a few months and things were going well, but she was hesitant to commit to exclusivity. We spoke about it and she said she wasn't sure if she was ready to make a decision. We eventually decided to go our separate ways, but a few weeks later, she liked one of my Instagram posts, causing me to question her intentions. I still think about her every day, and it's been difficult to move on. I went on a few dates, but didn't feel a connection like I did with her. I stopped using dating apps as I don't think it's fair to the others. I've started therapy to work through my feelings and would appreciate any clarity on the situation."
When it comes to clarity on the situation, I guess we're going to have to assume what it is that he's not super clear on. I would assume that you're wondering if her liking your Instagram post is her having doubts about the decision to not be exclusive with you, or I guess I'm not totally sure what he's not sure about.
Yeah.
If you're wondering if that's a sign that she's maybe regretting the decision or she maybe is reconsidering, I would say it's not a sign. I don't think that somebody liking your Instagram post is enough to go off of to try to rekindle things. I think that there are so many other things that would need to happen. Even if that was her intent, there are so many other things that would need to happen in order for you to even consider being exclusive with her. I think that she's made it pretty clear that that's not where she's at. And I think after a few months, and this is just good rule of thumb for anybody listening, after a few months of seeing somebody, if the other person is not ready to be exclusive and you are, it means that you guys are not aligned in where you're at. It means that you guys have different goals, and or that the other person is not as interested as you are. And all of those are reasons to either get clarity to find out for sure or to move on. Because what ends up happening otherwise is you end up dragging this on for months and months and months without having that conversation or trying to get that clarity. And you end up with the same result of this person who just never makes a decision because they're either not as interested or they were never heading down that path anyways.
Right. Yeah, I do not think that that's a sign that she's supposed to be the one. I think it's just a sign that your brain was triggered with that little dopamine hit, which is so normal. And so I want you to kind of think about it from a neurological or a science-y standpoint so that you don't make it mean anything about your character or that you should consider reaching out to her.
Yeah.
See it as, oh, this makes a lot of sense because I miss her and I'm making this mean something more because that's what the human brain does.
Yeah.
I also just don't want to get too far down the road without acknowledging the 18 months that you very intentionally took to heal from this last breakup. That tells me that you are very self-aware, very emotionally mature, and you're willing to continue to do the inner work. And, writing into us is a sign that you're willing to take responsibility for the way that you're thinking and feeling. And I really want to underline that because people will listen to this question and they will want to solve the puzzle or solve the riddle for why did the woman like the Instagram post? And that's not our job to figure her actions out. Our job is to figure out why it is that you are thinking and feeling in a way that creates suffering. We want to help you think and feel differently so that you feel empowered, you feel like you understand yourself, and you can walk into the next relationship with confidence. So that's what this experience is going to be super, super valuable for, because you're going to understand yourself better. Like, oh, okay, it makes perfect sense that every time she likes a post, that my brain is going to be excited. It's a little dopamine hit around somebody that at one point I had a lot of stories and fantasized about what the future could be, and it didn't end up that way. And so this is all normal. Nothing has gone wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I know that sometimes it can be hard because you're told to watch for the signs, and my Instagram page is filled with signs that she's interested, signs that she's not. So I get why you're in that line of thinking. Does this mean something? Does this not mean something? And I think while it's good to have a general understanding so that if there is a potential, you're not missing it, I also think that when it comes to situations like this, you guys had been seeing each other for months. She obviously has your contact information. If she was interested in a relationship, and I think that the bigger thing is you guys needed to realign on what it was that you were wanting. And it doesn't sound like that had happened until things ended. So in order to actually move forward on this, in order to actually see or to actually consider opening up a relationship with her again, you guys would need to be aligned in what it was that you were looking for. And that would need to be a conversation had, not an assumption based on an Instagram or based on her sending a happy birthday message. This would need to be a conversation that's had before you would make any decisions. And so looking at this from a perspective of it's totally normal that your brain jumps to these assumptions. Most people's do. That's how we are designed as humans. Your brain is always trying to protect you. It's important that you question them. It's important that you look at it objectively instead of emotionally, because there would need to be a lot more would need to be said and a lot more would need to happen in order for
this to be viable.
Yeah.
And hopefully that gives you clarity on this situation. I want to give you a few things to think about in the context of moving forward. Rewriting the story that you tell yourself about past relationships is going to be huge. Right now, you're telling the story that your connection with her was special and maybe the one, you're really hinging everything on the fact that this relationship was perfect. I think you're romanticizing this relationship when in reality, the true story is that it was brief, it was inconsistent, and it was non-committal. She didn't say yes to what you were offering. And I think that story, the truth, is going to help you be a lot more firm in your next steps. You're going to be able to do what it sounds like you do well, which is take responsibility for your results. This is going to be you making a decision to see it as it actually was, not allowing your brain to get really dramatic and romantic about something that actually wasn't real. Your work now is to stop making her hesitation mean something about your worth or your future. So things first, rewrite that story that you're telling yourself. Find the story, get really specific on what it is that you're telling yourself about this specific relationship and even the initial relationship. Just seeing what your primitive fear-based brain is telling you, what kind of dramatic stories it's making up and you're unintentionally believing. I think you might come to the realization that this wasn't a failed relationship, that it actually started at a point where you probably weren't fully healed and maybe even ready for. You were kind of bonding at a time when you were still really emotionally tender. And there's a lot of research that backs up after major loss or a breakup, that first meaningful connection becomes disproportionately imprinted on your brain. And so it's not necessarily the woman, it's the timing. That timing is not destiny.
Yeah, it's because we make up this story, just got out of this long-term thing. It's all too easy to go into the next one being like, this one can't break me like the last one. Like this one has to be better. And putting all this pressure on what this next relationship needs to be so that you can feel something different, feel something better than the last. And it's so sabotaging because you're starting off the relationship from this scarce place of like needing it to fill something for you.
Yeah. So we'd like to challenge you to let this story be about your capacity to love and connect with someone again instead of a story about losing someone. And ask yourself, if I believed my future relationship was guaranteed to be deeper, safer, and more mutual than this one ever was, how would I interpret that Instagram post? If I believed with 100% conviction that my future relationship was guaranteed to be deeper, safer, and more mutual than this one was, then how would I interpret that Instagram post? How would I interpret my lingering thoughts about her? My guess is that it's going to be more about the data, the fact that this is just the way the human brain works and all of the data points versus, well, this was my destiny. I want you to really recognize that you aren't stuck on her. You're stuck on the version of yourself who didn't yet know he could survive disappointment. You now know that you have the capacity to live through disappointment and rejection and pain, and you can still choose again. You can get right back into that game. You've done the work. You're continuing to do the work. You've shown that you can feel the heartbreak without collapsing. And that is what's going to make you powerful in your next relationship.
It's finally here. The Self-Made Man Dating Journal is officially live and ready for you to grab on Amazon. This was designed specifically for single men who are serious about improving their dating life. It helps you track your dates, reflect on your experiences, and actually learn from them, so you can stop repeating old patterns and start seeing real progress.
What I love most about this journal is how intentional it is. It's not just about writing down what happened. It's about helping you get clear in what you want, confident in how you're showing up, and connected to what's working and what's not. You'll find daily prompts, weekly reflection pages, and the date log. You'll record everything from how you felt before the date, what went well, what felt off, and what you do differently next time. That kind of self-awareness is what sets successful daters apart. This journal will help you slow down, spot patterns, and become more intentional with every single interaction.
We only printed a limited batch for this first run, so if this is something you've been needing, go grab it now before they're gone. We'll drop the link in the show notes and let us know what you think. We love hearing your guys' feedback.
We can't wait for you to start using the Self-Made Man Dating Journal.
All right, submission number 2 was written in by Tyler, and this one says, why do girls put effort into making attractive profiles only to ignore or not reply to normal Instagram messages? My profile shows I'm a normal and above average looking guy. Despite 40 attempts, I received no response. This seems inhuman and suggests an issue with girls' expectations. It seems everyone only wants the top 1% of people.
I had to choose this one because we hear this all the time. Tyler, thank you for being so open with your very direct question. 40 attempts with no replies isn't nothing, but I don't want you to make that mean something about your worth or your value. It is simply data. And data, when you're willing to look at it cleanly, can be so powerful.
Yeah.
And so we want to offer you a completely different lens than the one that you're currently using. And I'll hand it off to Gracie because this is her bread and butter.
I have so much to say about this. I want to say 40 attempts seems like a lot, and it's not, but I'm sure it feels that way. We have this rule in business from like one of the biggest business gurus out there, and it's the rule of 100. You can't make any decisions on what direction you're going to head next until you've done something 100 times, at least.
Yeah.
100 times.
Yeah. Don't take it to the bank.
Yeah.
Until you've done it 100 times.
100 times.
You can't leverage this as your truth until you've done it 100 times. So you're not even halfway there yet.
And this actually applies really well to almost everything in dating, because the biggest misconception that guys come to me with is, I've done everything and I've tried so many times and nothing works and nobody likes me and nobody wants to go on a date with me. And I'm like, all right, well, how many dates have you been on? 1 this year. What? Are you kidding me? You're basing this information on 1 date?
For all of you who are driving in your car and just had your eardrums blown out, I apologize.
I understand, because it's such an emotional process. Most of the time, it's that you're basing other people's actions or responses or lack thereof. You're basing your worth off of that. Mm-hmm. And so it heightens your emotions tenfold. And that's what makes it so hard. That's also where a lot of the work needs to be done, because you should never, and I've put this in so many posts, but you should never be basing your worth or your value on somebody else's actions, ever. To put it in context, I sent out probably around 40 messages to brands the other day on social media asking them to be part of a giveaway. You want to know how many responded? 0. And you want to know how many?
Take it down a notch.
You want to know how many? Like, I have a pretty sizable following on social media that most people would think, if I were to send out messages like how he's comparing, I'm an average guy, look normal.
Didn't you say above average?
Respond. Yeah, okay, I'm above average looking guy. And so women should be responding to me. It's like, all right, well, I've got an above average following. Therefore, you'd think brands would be responding to me. It's just not how it works.
Right. And look at you. You don't get fired up over it.
The reason I'm fired up is because you're making this a direct reflection of your worth, and you just must not be good enough, or women must be wrong for what it is that they're looking for because of the lack of responses. When in reality, the responses, especially on Instagram, specifically Instagram, there are so many variables that go into actually getting a response, and girls actually even seeing the message in order for you to get a response that you're not even taking into account. And to be fair, that's not your fault. I know there's so much rhetoric out there. I hate when I see dating coaches being like, the new dating apps is Instagram. You should be using your Instagram page as the new dating profile. No, you shouldn't. You will be giving yourself false hope all day, every day, if you think that Instagram is going to work the same for you as dating apps do. It's not the same. She might not even be single, and you have no idea. You have no idea what situation she's in, unless she flat out puts it in her bio that she's single, which on Instagram, you don't do that. Facebook, you put your status or whatever, but Instagram, you don't. So you have no idea what her situation. That's one thing. Another thing is if she's not following you, she's never going to see the message. She's never going to see the message. Just like all the brands I reached out to who are not following me, they're probably never going to see the message. It's part of the game. Like, you are putting yourself out there. You have to know that the odds are stacked against you in this specific situation. If she's not following you, it's going to go to a hidden messages or requested messages section in her inbox that she's probably never going to see. So that's probably like over half of the women that you messaged. For the women that are following you, let's say, depending on how you opened that message up and depending on their specific dating situation, there's a million other reasons why she wouldn't respond that have literally nothing to do with you.
Right. My first takeaway would be there are so many variables. If you're going to use Instagram, the stars have got to be aligned
Literally.
for her to actually see
Exactly
the message. Okay. Secondly, Gracie always loves it when I say this, but you've got to separate the story from the facts. The fact is you've sent 40 Instagram messages and received no response. The story is women are inhumane.
Do appreciate the honesty so we can truly know where your head is at.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you because, I mean, so many men say this. They're getting so jaded and resentful towards women who aren't even seeing the post.
Or they are seeing the post and they're in a relationship, or they are seeing the post and it's fucking random as hell. So why would they respond to that? Exactly what you said. The stars have to align specifically when you're reaching out like this in order for this to work.
Yeah.
That it's just.
Yeah. So women are inhumane. My looks should guarantee replies, and everyone only wants the top 1%. None of that is true. Those are just the stories that your brain is making up. And that's very normal. When you feel rejected, your brain catastrophizes. And it's doing that to actually protect you. And studies show that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. So your brain is hurting and it's not reporting objective truth. So when you're hurting, we reach for explanations that make us feel less defensive, even if those explanations make the world look like a shitty place. And so we have to be able to realize that there's a lot of dynamics and variables. Secondly, we have to be able to separate the story from the facts. Thirdly, I would also recognize that you have this unconscious rule book for women.
Yeah, this expectation that because you're an above average looking guy, that women should naturally be responding to her Instagram messages.
And that too is sabotaging you.
So
you also
sabotaging.
think if she posts a beautiful profile, she should reply. Or if I'm normal and above average looking, that should guarantee engagement. Or if she doesn't reply, it means she has unrealistic standards. That is what we call the manual. It's just another term for an expectation for how others should behave so that we feel okay. But adults get to do whatever they want to do 100% of the time. And when you tie your worth to their response, you hand them all of your power. So we have to recognize that they don't owe us anything, right? These women do not owe you a reply, but you owe yourself a mindset that doesn't collapse when you don't get one.
Right.
That's where the work is. Not sitting here trying to figure out why women only want the top 1%. That's not even true.
Yeah.
So let's not waste our time with that.
I don't make a lot of posts about this, and I don't answer a lot of questions specifically about how to DM women because there are so many variables at play. Like, let's say stars do align, which means she is following you back first and foremost. Then let's say that you guys have also met before. That's another big piece in this. Or if you haven't met before, that you have mutuals and at least know of each other. That is the next key piece of this. If you're a complete random stranger, your percentage gets docked another 50%. So those first two things that absolutely have to be true if you want any chance of a woman responding, the next piece of that is that she's single and she's in a place of actually wanting to date and entertain the idea of going on dates. Okay, that's the third piece. The fourth piece would be that you open with something that actually makes sense and is interesting to respond to. You can't just send a random message or random emojis or tell her that she looks beautiful in her post and expect that she's going to want to respond to that. Most women don't. You have to send something that would actually make sense. That's context-based, that actually aligns with something she's interested in, that actually shows that your interest is genuine. It's not just about her looks. All of those things would have to be true in order to stand a chance at her wanting to respond to an Instagram DM.
Tyler, I'm going to give you something to think about, and this is probably going to sting a little bit, but I've done this a couple times this week with a couple different clients, and they've actually thanked me for it. Instead of asking, why aren't women choosing me? I want you to start asking yourself, what story am I telling that keeps me from choosing myself? Because the belief everyone wants the top 1% is giving you permission to stop trying. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you really want to stop trying. You want a relationship. You want connection. You want to feel chosen. But that truly starts by you choosing you and recognizing all of the dynamics that we've just laid out for you. And even though it's hard to hear that, ask yourself, can I even find 5% truth in what Tracy and Gracie are telling me? Because that's going to give you the springboard into really opening up your mind to other possibilities. Mm-hmm. What we're telling you from a place of love. We are on your team, but you are absolutely self-sabotaging yourself with these beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to go back to the rule of 100, I think that is actually a really good strategy to implement into your dating life across the board when it comes to 100 messages to women on dating apps, a place where you know at least they're single, right? And they are likely going to see it at some point. I would say going on 100 dates before you start questioning your worth as a person and as a partner, a potential partner. Sending 100 messages to somebody you're interested in before deciding that your messaging strategy sucks. All of these things, I think volume negates luck. And I think that the more that you do something, it not only increases your chances of getting what it is that you're hoping, but it also helps you get better because you're getting the reps. Most of the time, you're just not getting enough reps in order to even make decisions or in order to even see where the breakdown is happening. Mm-hmm. And so I would say for sure, biggest thing that needs to be worked on is the mindset here. And then beyond that, like if you want tacticals, I would say you need more reps. And this goes for everybody listening. Like you need more reps in all of the areas of dating before you can start making assumptions, because that's what this is, assumptions about what's going wrong.
Yep. Hey there. If you're loving the Just Ask Her podcast, please take a quick second to rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It helps more awesome listeners like you find the show. And don't forget to spread the love by sharing this episode with all of your friends. All right, back to Just Ask Her. All right, here's submission 3 from Dan. It says, I'm a 30-year-old civil engineer specializing in roadway design. My current dating struggles are rooted in my tricky situation. I was in a relationship for 7 years, 2 dating, 5 married, after getting married in February 2020. The lockdown began and the start of our marriage was difficult. After a year and a few months, my wife cheated on me and we were separated. We went through therapy and got back together after 7 months. Our relationship improved, but something was always missing. We went on to welcome twins in November of that year, and during the pregnancy, my wife revealed her struggles with her sexuality and began a relationship with her female trainer. I tried dating in the past 10 to 11 months, but I've only been on one unsuccessful date and another one that didn't work out due to the person not liking kids. I have a passion for sports, nature, running. I just completed my first half marathon and video games. I'm also creative and dedicated to my job, but not a workaholic. Despite my efforts on dating apps such as Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, I haven't had much success. Recently, I matched with someone and we talked a few times, but she had been giving one-word responses or not responding for days. Any advice is appreciated. This situation may seem like a joke, but it's hard to find love when you've been left for another woman.
It's interesting. I wonder if he heard the other episode that was like this.
Yeah, we've had other write-ins similar to this.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how jarring and out of left field that must feel. So I understand why he would think that this sounds like it could be a joke, but we get it. It's a real thing that happens. And the way that you're still standing and still loving your kids and still running half marathons and still opening the door, even if it's a crack to connection, tells me more about your resilience than anything in your past relationship could ever take away. What happened to you is not the same thing as what's happening in dating. There's zero connection between what happened between you and your wife and now what's happening in your dating life. Those two narratives aren't actually connected. It's your brain that's tying all of that together. And that makes total sense. The brain is a story-making machine, but we have to really dissect those stories, the meanings that you're making, so that we can better understand ourselves and really find the truth. The infidelity does not mean anything about your worth. It's a reflection of what's going on in her world, her identity, her confusion around her identity, her emotional capacity, the way she copes with things. Research shows that affairs are most often about unmet internal needs or identity shifts in the unfaithful partner, not deficiencies in the spouse. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I know citing stats doesn't always help you internalize this, but those are the numbers, and that is the truth. Nothing you could have done. You couldn't have outperformed or out-engineered her sexuality because it never was a solvable equation. It is what it is, right? And so this is where your emotional adulthood is going to come in. You don't let someone else's behavior define your value. You were not left for another woman. You were left by someone who didn't yet know herself. And as unfortunate as that is, and as painful as it was of an experience for you to go through, it's not your fault. And you are clearly doing a lot of the right things to move on from that, but you have to remind yourself of the truth because your primitive brain is strong and it's going to defend the story that you've been hearing. And so your job, your real work is to recognize when your brain is telling you that story and shut that shit down as fast as possible with the truth. There's nothing you could have done to change her identity.
And then on the dating side of things, the past 10 to 11 months, I think this goes back to what I was saying with Tyler. It's just a lack of volume. Like you haven't even hit the point where like you've had enough volume in the dating scene to start trying to figure out what isn't working for you. You've only been on 2 dates and it doesn't sound like the apps have been producing a lot of conversations. Just like with the one woman that you're having a conversation with, there are a lot of variables at play when it comes to even the dating apps. There are so many more men on these apps and the competitive nature of these apps. It more often than not, you're going to have similar experiences than with the one that you're having right now on like the messaging front. Like, and there are things, yes, that we can do to optimize your profile and get you more matches and get you more conversations going. There's also things that we can do to get you in front of more women to start landing more dates. And then there's also things that we can do to like help you connect better with women. But none of that works if you're not putting in the reps. None of that works if you're not willing to put yourself out there and actually start having conversations with women. And usually that's the very first piece that needs to be tackled. And it is a hard piece. Putting yourself out there is not easy. When I'm starting to work with new clients, usually we have to fix the volume piece first so that we can actually understand what areas need to be improved from the dating perspective. And so again, this is not a lack of your value or worth or what it is that you can bring to a table. It's a lack of volume right now.
Mm-hmm. And then those one word replies or responses, that is not rejection. That is low investment on their end or low curiosity on their end.
The dating apps are one of the lowest investments for meeting people.
Yeah, that's why Gracie teaches men to move quickly from the dating app to the dates so that you avoid all that.
Yeah, because you don't know each other. You have no loyalty to each other on a dating app. If you've never been out on a date, and even I would say after like 2 dates at least is when you can start like holding somebody to the standard. If they say they're going on a date with you, they owe you at least that. Somebody you've never met before, that you've never even seen in person before, they don't owe you a response on dating apps. And that sounds harsh. If you start a conversation, yeah, you should finish the conversation or let the person know. But it's way too easy to just move on to the next person when you find something you're not interested in from the last on the apps. It is way too easy. There's no commitment there yet. None. I talk about it as one of the lowest leverage ways to meet women. If your profile is optimized and it's working for you, it can be a great tool to get you out on dates. But if it's not optimized and you haven't quite figured out the messaging strategy yet, the apps are going to feel like an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is understanding what you're really getting yourself into. Same thing with the Instagram messages. Like in that case, your odds are very, very low that you're going to get a response. With the dating apps, they're higher because at least like this person is single and hopefully looking to go on dates. But then there's also a lot of other variables that need to be checked off with your profile in order for her to want to respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And Gracie's membership is the perfect place for you to optimize your dating profile if you want to continue to use dating apps as a tool. It's the perfect place to learn how to approach a woman in real life. It's also the perfect place to learn how to leverage your current network. Those are the 3 levers. If you truly want to find your person, you've got to be willing to
tap all of them,
execute on all 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's the confusion around the how is what stops people. And then they hide behind these dating apps and then complain because they don't work. It's because you don't know how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
So that's the offer that is inside of the Dating with Gracie community, is to help you better understand the tacticals. But the biggest component is to help you understand yourself so that you can grow into the confident, successful man that you are meant to be in all areas of your life. So it's truly a value add that most people aren't actually looking for, but it pays dividends in every area of your life. That's just the plug for the membership. But as I'm hearing her talk, I'm like, good Lord, it is such a hugely valuable resource because it hits on all levels. Everything that they need is in there. Dan, I want you to realize that the question isn't, why is she not responding? The real question that you have to be asking yourself is, why am I waiting for someone who's not invested or isn't investing in the same way that I am? You're not here to like chase that lukewarm energy. You're here to choose. You are the chooser. You're not sitting here waiting to be chosen. Here's what we want to leave you with, Dan. You're not struggling because women don't want a man like you. You're struggling because you keep measuring your future by a past that no longer fits. Your next chapter isn't about finding someone to choose you. It's about becoming the man who chooses clearly and calmly and confidently. And you already have everything that you need to do that. I hope that you'll trust yourself enough to take the next step. All right. Well, that's what we have for you in episode 55.
We'll be right back here next week. We put out new episodes every single Wednesday. In the meantime, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Dating with Gracie so that you can get all the dating tips and tricks on a daily basis. And we'll see you next week.